Hi, I'm Cliffhanger, and this is the movie War of the Worlds Attack. Three students witness an alien invasion on the outskirts of London. The film begins with a space panorama as the camera zooms in on a lonely red planet. Suddenly, a rocket launches from Mars, then another one, and the whole armada approaches the neighboring planet Earth. The action takes place in a regular forest on Earth. In the middle of the night, a trio of friends, two guys and a girl, are riding their bikes through the woods. They use the navigator to trace their destination where a meteorite has allegedly fallen. While searching for the celestial object, Herbert notices something strange in the bushes. Leaving his friends behind, he goes to take a look. He finds a whole bunch of nothing in the woods, after which he gets spooked by his comrades creeping up. The group resumes their search for the space stone, but is interrupted by a videotape of another revelation by Herbert. He suggests that Martians exist and may organize an invasion, just like in an old Tim Burton movie. When the navigator's battery dies, the friends decide to spend the night at Herbert's place nearby. Yet as soon as they leave, a strange creature with tentacles, a distant relative of Cthulhu and Dr. Zoidberg, appears out of nowhere, glowing green in the night. In the morning, the girl named Hannah films Herbert playing off the sleeping Ogilvy. The mother asks Herbert to visit his family, but the young man does not want to talk to them. Hannah comforts him as he gets upset at the quarrel with his mother, and they go downstairs. Eating pancakes, the astronomy students learn that it has been reported on the news that a meteorite has fallen nearby. The excited astronomers hop on their bikes and rush to the scene. Spectators have already crowded around the huge, strangely shaped rock. Hannah suggests they go around the crash site and sneak up behind the meteorite so that the police don't drive them away. The officers didn't think to cordon off the perimeter. The students make their way down to the low spot where the space guest is lying. Not afraid of radiation, they stretch their eager hands toward it until Ogilvy burns his hand. After videotaping the meteorite, the friends realize that it is not a rock. Confirming the guess, the extraterrestrial boulder opens. A mutant octopus-shaped alien hides inside. Hannah offers to do a bunk, but Herbert stares fascinatedly at the alien before the flaps close back up. On the way out, the students are caught by a cop. The cop leaves the youngsters to wait for Dr. Stint, their academic advisor from the institute. The teacher is not at all surprised that the students are already there. They are always around when all sorts of things fall from space. Herbert expresses concern. It seemed to him that the meteorite crew was unfriendly. Suddenly, the space device opens. Something huge with 3 long legs and tentacles emerges from it. The resulting being shoots a beam of fire, incinerating the humans who are scattering in panic. The hiding students film the alien walker as it passes by without noticing them. Saddled on their precious pedal machines, the astronomers head into town. They spot a trail of black smoke in the sky from another capsule coming in for a landing. At home, the students see a welcoming committee of Air Force fighters heading toward the alien guests. An emotional man is shown on TV declaring that the rocks from the sky are God's punishment for human sin. Dr. Stint and the military then explain that there is no need to try to make contact with the aliens. Specially trained people will do that. Trying to contact their families, the students discover that the connection is not working. Herbert assumes that the invaders have come from Mars. Given the situation, the guys decide to stay home and have tea. Prim, haughty, and in a British manner. Hours later, Hannah notices someone hiding in the garden. The creature in the bushes turns out to be a bloodthirsty monster. British artillery soldier Ben. He seeks shelter, and Herbert lets him in. The soldier tells him that the invaders have crushed the army completely. After drinking whiskey to keep his spirits up, Ben washes up and explains that he survived only by miracle. He tripped and fell when the aliens were firing an energy beam. The youths wonder if the military will take control of the situation, but Ben recommends getting away. Herbert wants to find his mother, suggesting that they use ordinary walkie-talkies to communicate. The artilleryman uses them to contact his superiors, who also recommend getting the hell out of there as the space invaders keep landing. After gathering food supplies, the students and the soldier head out on their bikes. Noticing fighters in the sky, Ben contacts the bunker to find out the current state of affairs. Things turn sour. A fighter tripod is already dominating the city limits, scorching the army with a death ray. On the way, they run into a military patrol. They report that civilians are being evacuated and students should not personally search for relatives. The students and Ben arrive at the evacuation base where a line of survivors has piled up. During the census, it turns out that Herbert's last name is Wells, which makes him in a way to blame for what is happening. Ben uses his connections to help get a boat off the line. On board, the students see a flock of birds soar over the forest. A Martian tripod shows up next and proceeds to do its Martian tripod business. The military manages to take out the enemy, but their joy of victory was premature. A whole other pack of alien vehicles is on its way. The humans flee right off the battlefield. The Martians burn out the tanks and helicopters, not allowing them to fight back. While fleeing, Hannah falls and loses consciousness. Her friends carry her to someplace safe in the woods. The girl regains consciousness after dark, and then they return to the boat. The guys row towards London. On the way, they see burning cities on the horizon, having experienced the charms of the Martian occupation. Exhausted, the astronomers come ashore to find shelter. In the woods, they run into a strange man from the news report, a priest. He is very pessimistic and calls the invasion the end of the world, God's punishment which will kill all men. The Reverend preaches a sermon causing irritation. Herbert asks for directions, not wanting to go into theological nuances. The students leave, but the strange saint, refusing to admit to being crazy, follows, promising salvation to all of them. Soon they reach a house and find abandoned supplies inside. The owner was clearly in a hurry to leave the place. While dividing up the provisions, Ogilvy quarrels with the priest and insults him, forcing the father to grab a knife. Herbert attacks the man in an attempt to disarm him, but instead of turning his left cheek, the priest takes a right hook. With the knife to the young man's throat, the man questions aloud what to do, then lets the student go. Ogilvy offers to leave, but the priest insists that they stay. Their fate is not yet decided. The assembled sit awkwardly in silence at the table, while the mad preacher lights a candle. He offers Hannah bread, calling her the weaker sex, and alluding to repopulating the planet. He cannot entrust such an important matter to an inferior seed. As the second bottle of wine comes to an end, Herbert wonders what prompted the father to abandon his Christian principles. In response, he confesses that he is closer to God than ever. Going to bed, the priest asks the youth not to disturb him, or he will carve the new commandment, "Thou shalt not awaken," on them with a knife. The night passes in anxious anticipation. Herbert gets up to get some water, not taking his eyes off the man asleep on the couch. He cautiously approaches him and reaches for his knife, but a sudden noise outside distracts him. The students see a tripod in the window. It has passed by, but the danger is still there. The awakened preacher threatens them with a knife and God's punishments. The students beg him to calm down and step away from the window, but the padre marches to his own drum and rants about God's will. The sermon is interrupted by the appearance of a black tentacle at the window. The aliens from the tripod grab the priest and drag him away. The tentacle returns to the house for the rest of his prey, but the students hide unashamed, trembling with terror. Not finding anyone, the alien tentacle scuttles away. In the morning, Ben calls his friends over the radio. They exchange coordinates, after which the youth set off on their way. As they wander through the deserted streets, they notice a strange red grass that entangles the houses. Hannah assumes that aliens are thus terraforming the planet for their alien needs. Having got out into the familiar, safe, and cheap in terms of filming forest, the astronomers noticed a signal on the hill, a sun glare. Its source turns out to be artilleryman Ben. He is pleased to meet them and leads his friends to his new camp, a lonely hut made of twigs, sticks, and feces. Ben tells them that the alien landing continues, with the human troops suffering one defeat after another. Army officials suggest the plan is to go underground and live there, just like the Morlocks, or the characters in Metro 2033. Herbert does not like such an approach, and wants to fight patriotically and repel the invaders, despite the fact that he couldn't even cope with one rogue priest when he was in vastly superior numbers with friends. To convince pale young men with burning eyes, Ben contacts his colleagues. They report on the desperate situation across the country. Students wait in the woods. Ogilvy plays with grenades, and Hannah cheers up a distraught Herbert. Under the pressure of circumstances, he comes up with a plan to find out why aliens are abducting people. Encouraging the others to go on the adventure, Herbert leads them to the nearest landing point. The Martians' tripods roam the streets of London, scorching everything around them with beams of death. The spectacle will make any sane person desperate, but the astronomers and warriors are infected with optimism up to their eyes. Humans sneak through the deserted streets, hiding from the interventionist machines behind monuments. The guerrilla squad sneaks farther and farther away until they stumble upon one of the landing ships, the ones that are mistaken for meteorites. Herbert and Hannah are about to get closer to see what's inside. The couple make their way under the cover of the wooded area. They watch as the tripods unload something into the mothership, which is full of peculiar eggs. Aliens are apparently nesting. When Hannah reports what she sees to Ben, the aliens abduct Ogilvy. The soldier rushes to the rescue and opens fire on the tripod with his gun. Offended by the small caliber, the machine turns around and pulls the space tentacle toward him. The captured soldier pulls out a grenade and rips out the pin. The explosion rips the tripod apart. Losing control, the tentacle drops Ogilvy, who is found by his friends. The three of them flee before they can even mourn Ben's death. Another tripod chases them, shooting a beam of fire in their direction. They hide from the all-seeing eye under a bridge, after which Hannah suggests taking shelter in the sewers. In the dungeon, the friends argue over how long to hide. Ogilvy doesn't want to rot in the sewers. It leads to a brief argument which Hannah nips in the bud. As they wait out the night, the students wonder how much the world will change by the time they get out. In the morning, however, not. A sound is heard from above. The students climb out of the sewers and look around anxiously. No tripods can be seen patrolling the area. The astronomers find a bush of mysterious red grass that looks as if it is about to wither away. Nearby, a small mutant octopus, like the one inside the meteorite, lies motionless on the ground. The friends throw rocks at it before they get any closer, and spot the tripod from which the alien crawled out before it died. Suddenly, Dr. Stint appears like the devil out of a snuff box, accompanied by the military. She explains that the alien invaders were killed by Earth viruses and bacteria, as the Martians' immune system was not prepared for them. Herbert is called over the radio. The military has rescued his mother and is preparing to send her home. The cheerful friends get in the car and drive off. A voiceover tells of the germs that have defeated the invading army and their future offspring and eggs. Yet a tentacle suddenly sprouts from one egg and the film ends on that life-affirming note.